Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Freedom Podcast. I have a really special guest today, one of my dearest friends, and I'm so happy to have Miss Jordan Prete here. She's an amazing human being. She's always journeying through everything it means to be a woman and spiritual and wellness. And she's an entrepreneur. She's been in the hair, makeup, and beauty industry for almost a decade and works in the corporate world as far as makeup artist for television and film. And yeah, somebody who always has enlightening conversation with me, and I love her. She's just a gem, and I'm so excited. We're going to talk about so many amazing things. We've been catching up recently, and she's going through a lot of transformation in her life. And I know that this is going to be content that's relevant to so many people right now. I think that the world is going through a lot of transition, and people are looking for ways they can implement wellness and healing, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. And we go way back. And we've been on our healing journey together for a long, long time. So, Jordan, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so happy that you decided to come on the show and talk about your beautiful journey that's unfolding. I'm honestly just inspired by you. So, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I am so proud of you for creating this podcast and just going for it, especially today when, we're told that we have to stay in this little box and you have to have this type of job and this type of this. And the fact that you're
Right.
able to venture out and actually do it is amazing. So I'm so excited to be here. So thank you
Awesome.
for having me.
Yeah. So recently we're just gonna get right in if that's okay. Can I ask you some like pretty personal questions right
Yeah,
off the bat? Is
let's
that
do it.
cool? Okay. So if you guys are entrepreneurs as well, you know how difficult it is to catch up with your friends. So oftentimes, like, it's been months since we've gotten to talk and sit down. And so
Yeah.
I'm always just like blown away by the things my friends tell me they're embarking on these journeys. So you recently told me that you've been sober now for 8 months. And I am
Yes.
just, I want to hear about that because it's something that a lot of people I noticed are choosing to go without alcohol. And especially down in Florida, like a lot of people come down here specifically for recovery. And if you're going to give up alcohol, it's nice to have outdoor activities and other things to do. So, um, first of all, what made you decide to just kind of taper drinking off? Was it like a today is the day, or were you like, just kind of not feeling this anymore?
Yeah, it's funny talking to you about it because you are my chartreuse buddy. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's so many nights of just the fun times with drinking that I remember, that I don't remember. But anytime with you, it's always a lot of fun. We always
Mm,
had a good time, whether we're drinking or not.
yeah,
But
exactly.
I've been sober curious for about 2 years now, and it's a relatively new term coming out. I know it's been a new term mainly in like the coastal areas.
Sure.
California for sure, definitely more of like a sober curious type
I could see
of
that.
feel. Yeah,
Well, they actually say I have a girlfriend who is like sober, like AA sober, but they call it California sober because they still smoke weed. So,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
but no alcohol. That's like a big, huge thing out there. So,
that's huge. Yeah, New York too. It's been kind of like a common thing in some of like Florida, like Miami, possibly. That there are more people who want to do like a California type of sober where they just cut off alcohol.
yeah,
And I think it's important to not judge anybody for what they want to do, what they want to put in their body, what they want to prevent putting in their body. Um, but that term kind of came about, and it was always something that I just was like, that's a weird, like, why would we were raised in a culture of drinking? Like
oh
my
yeah,
my relationship with drinking stems from um, just generations and generations of drinking, and there wasn't a time where there was a holiday, a gathering, um, I mean, a picnic where there
especially in the Midwest. Yeah, I
for
mean,
sure that's
like
just kind of what
Wisconsin
you do
culture,
here.
that's our identity. Yeah.
100%. In college, I was always the big like tequila girl, and I was known that no one could outdrink me with tequila, and it was such a badge of pride,
Yeah,
when you're
so
in a little
silly.
college bubble or you're in your 20s, late teens, and you don't have a care in the world and you don't have to think about taxes or, family, nothing. So, I mean, why not? That's kind of the mindset
Right.
around here.
Right.
So, about 2 years ago, I really started to notice, like, wow, I'm not 19 or 20 anymore, where I can just get up
Snap
the
out
next
of it.
day. And I remember being so naive in college. I was really, really good in high school. I didn't drink. I didn't really have time. And then once college hit, I'm like, yeah, like, yes, like, let's do it. Let's get
Yeah.
hammered. um, I remember thinking, like, I don't understand why people would have any issues with alcohol as they get older. I recovered immediately. Like, well, yeah, I'm not used to it. Of course I'm going to recover. My body is
Right.
responding
Exactly.
from the amount of hangovers and blackouts and everything that I did to my body as the years went on.
Yeah, when you're a kid, like I remember my older brother telling me too when I was like in my early 20s, he's like, "Oh, trust me, when you hit 28, it's going to
Yeah.
happen to you too." And I was like, "No, it won't." Wee. And sure enough, yeah, 28, I was like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
what in the world?" Yeah, just
And
I
it was
remember I can't do it anymore.
situations too where I'm like, I'm not even drinking, like drinking. I'm having a couple glasses of wine. Why am I running to the bathroom and getting sick? And, what the hell is going on? My body literally started to reject it
Wow.
to the point where I couldn't even go on a date with my husband and have two or three glasses of wine or two or three drinks and then come home and get sick. And he's like, I thought, like, you didn't really drink that much. I'm like, no, I didn't. So
Right.
physically, my body started to reject it before I mentally started to push it away. And that was a huge sign of, okay, I need to look at something here because I'm not someone who has any kind of, I would I would not define myself as anyone who has like alcohol abuse, definitely not an alcoholic, but I started to recognize that I was a binge drinker.
Okay.
I'm definitely the prosecco bottle, opening it, I'm not going to waste it. So, of
Right,
course,
because you don't
drinking,
want it to go flat, so you have to drink the whole thing,
I have to,
obviously.
right? I have
Even yeah.
to.
So can you explain what binge drinking is? Because you sent me some statistics and I was, like, blown away by that.
I was completely blown away when I actually did my research. For many years, I thought binge drinking was something where, you know, it would be 2 or 3 nights a week where you'd get blackout. Like that's
Right.
binge drinking.
That's what I
And
thought it was too, yeah.
I don't always trust the CDC for many reasons. However, their information on alcohol has been studied, it's been looked at for so many years. It's not just something that's been pulled out of the
Yeah.
hat like recently.
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
but according to the CDC, if you're a woman and you have at least 4 drinks a week, you are considered a binge drinker. And
That
if you're a man,
blew my mind.
yeah. And
Appa
if you're
Yeah,
a man,
so I'm a binge drinker. I mean, most people probably are.
yeah, and that's the craziest part, especially like you said in the Midwest, especially in, party cities. Um, the work hard, play hard mentality is definitely a thing. And it's definitely something I was raised on.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're a man, if you have 8 or more drinks, you're considered a binge drinker. And to me, I'm like, wow, that's like everyone I know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, and
That's
it's so crazy because, like, I'm sure you've probably experienced this, but like alcohol, when you don't drink, like I'll take months off at a time, and like you have before in the past. And alcohol is the only drug where people kind of bully you when you don't want to do the drug. You're
yeah,
like no other drug. They're like, come on, just do some crack cocaine. Why are you being
exactly.
such a baby? Like,
Straight up, it's fine.
it's just a little crack. Like nobody says that, but like with alcohol, they're like, come on, just
Yeah,
drink, do the drug. And you're like, dude, I'm an adult. I'm perfectly capable of like deciding if I want that or not. It's
absolutely.
so
And
annoying.
especially in this area, um,
Yeah.
it's something where when you take a break, when you decide to, or even you're just out with a couple or some friends or something where you're used to having a few drinks and you take a
Yeah.
break, you're almost kind of looked at like, well, what's wrong with you?
What's
Like,
wrong with you? Yeah.
oh, you stopped drinking? You must have a problem. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, no, no, that doesn't always mean you have a problem.
Yeah.
And I think people also don't want to stop that to feel like, well, if I stop drinking, maybe that means like I have a problem, but I'm fine.
Right.
I can have this drink. And then I can have
Right.
this other drink and then another drink. And I think, we know so many people like that
Oh,
where
yeah.
it just spirals into just alcohol abuse and alcoholism.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And like, I have a lot of sober friends down here. I would say it's about half, to be honest. Like half my friends are, either sober by necessity or by choice. And one thing they all mention is that they feared that they wouldn't laugh anymore. They feared that they wouldn't be able to have fun without the alcohol. And then all of them will now tell you that they actually have way better quality of life without it. Is that something that you found to be true for yourself too?
Absolutely. I found that once I decided to make the change, I wanted to give myself at least like a month. And I realized that I started drinking at like 18, 19, like my freshman year of college.
Yeah, same.
I stopped right before my 32nd birthday. And I realized as I stopped, I'm like, wow, I've only had maybe 1 month, one like 30-day span in the 13 years of not drinking, like
Yeah.
at all. One like 30-day period. Otherwise, every week I would have at least a drink.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, it was kind of like an eye opener of like, what am I doing physically to my
Yeah.
body? Like,
What
I
is
know what
actually
drinking
gonna
does to me externally. It doesn't let me lose the weight I want.
hmm
I've lost some weight in my face. The red in my face has completely gone. I understand what it does on the outside. What the hell is it doing to me internally was
that
kind of
inflammation.
my
Yeah.
my concern. So when I started to stop drinking, it was right before the holidays. And that's like,
Okay.
okay, here's a test because I'll be going to
Yeah.
parties, I'll be going to family gatherings. If I can resist that, this is going to be okay. And I definitely felt pressure from certain friends and families, not because they like, oh, you're better than me now, you're not drinking.
Yeah.
It was more of like, but I bought this bottle of prosecco for you,
Just
and
for
I got
you.
this mezcal for you, and
Yeah,
I
so
just
that's a
came to the point.
challenge.
Yep,
Or
it,
or they think you're pregnant. Everyone's like, "What did you get a DUI or you're pregnant in
right.
Wisconsin?" That's
There's got to be
like,
something.
yeah.
You're not just going to not drink,
What are you not
especially here.
telling me?
Something
Yeah.
is happening. But the more I actually stood by my ground and was like, you know what, this is now more of a challenge for me in the sense of can I handle all the outside noise? Can I handle the culture I was raised in? Um, just the marketing of alcohol. It is literally poison wrapped in beautiful wrapping and marketed
Oh
as
my
a good.
gosh, yeah. Well, I literally like even when I'm watching a program or something and I'll take time off drinking if I see someone like your coffee, I want your coffee now. We were just laughing about that earlier before we clicked on here. But if I see someone pick up a glass and drink that, I'm like, "Ooh, I want that." And I mean, and it's you really realize it's in every show, every movie. They're
Everywhere,
constantly like it's not even necessary to the scene. And you're
right?
in the film industry, like it's not
Right.
even necessary,
I
but
mean, the
they're
amount of
always
times
drinking.
that we're on set and we're shooting either like a dinner scene or something that's maybe not breakfast,
Yeah.
but something with a table, something with food. It's like, well,
Yeah.
we should put like a nice glass of like red wine there,
Oh
or
yeah.
we should get them, maybe a glass of white wine or something that's not branded, but something to help them relax. And it's like
Right.
just so ingrained into our being and into our culture, into society. And it's so funny too,
Yeah.
because obviously everybody knows smoking is such a horrible thing and it's a killer and lung disease and all of these things. But alcohol is just as bad, if not worse,
Oh
because
yeah.
the poison that immediately seeps into your bloodstream.
Well, I recently I love Andrew Huberman because he like doesn't give his opinion on things. He just reads the facts and
Mhm.
he was talking about like the effects of alcohol on the microbiome in our gut and like as you know, you can't thrive at all if you don't have healthy gut bacteria and like he was
Yeah,
saying that even one drink like decimates your gut microbiome and it crosses like the blood brain barrier. Your gut is your second brain. He's talking about just, he's like, guys, I wish I could tell you something different, but this is the truth. And I was like,
yeah.
damn it, Huberman. Why'd you have to tell me that? Now I know. And every time I take a sip now, I'm like, fuck.
It's so
So,
interesting, just the studies that are coming out too.
yeah.
Um, One thing about the newer generation that I actually applaud is that there's not quite as much of a pressure to drink.
Mm
And I don't know if social media has anything to do with that. Maybe they're just too buried in their phones to even
hmm.
notice.
Yeah.
Possibility.
Yeah. They're just
No
dancing
offense,
on TikTok.
generation, but
Who knows what they're doing? It's a mystery.
right.
Um, Yeah, I mean, for us, it was just always like even like go out to the bonfire parties, everyone like the keg parties and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I know like down here, we have a ton of kava bars. So it's like completely alcohol free bars, and there's like really cool music and jazz, and they have always like something going on. There's so many activities, and so maybe we'll see those making their way through. I'm sure they're in Chicago too, but yeah, we've got a lot of like cool place. There's a pool hall like down the street from my house. It's again no alcohol. It's just sober. And yeah, there's a lot of things opening up because there's a demand for it now. People are like demanding better. And
Yeah.
I know years ago, so my fairy godmother, as I call her, I have a channeler. Her name's
Mhm.
Jack. She's like my spiritual guru, but she told me that I was supposed to stop drinking like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. And this is something that not just I'm going through, but like, on a spiritual level, like the Schumann resonance, the frequency of the planet is rising.
Mhm.
And so, like,
Yep.
our spiritual, like DNA is rising also, our frequency, but it can't do that because alcohol is like an instant frequency killer. It lowers our vibe. We can't spiritually transcend. And in this time of like great awakening that's happening all over the world, like,
Right.
we got to keep our vibe high to keep
It
the
just
bad
it's so
guys.
similar to like a phone. It just locks you down. It
Yeah.
just locks you down and then you're just kind of stuck because the first drink is like, "Oh, we're having so much fun." The
Yeah.
second drink is like, "Oh, I wish I could just feel like this. I can push my stresses away. I don't need to think about, some of my upcoming things that I need to do, some things that upset me." And then all of a sudden it just starts to you get more and more bogged down. And that's how
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
was as a drinker where I never was crazy starting fights, screaming, yelling, getting crazy.
Yeah.
However, I mean, alcohol definitely can change your personality. And it got
Oh,
to a
yeah.
point where I'm like, well, now I'm starting to feel even more pressure because the fun buzz has worn off and it's starting to be like, and tomorrow you still have to get up and do this, and then you have to get this done, and you have to do this meeting, and it's
Yeah.
or you work for yourself. So you have clients that you need to answer to, but ultimately you need to be the one to pull yourself out and be like, I'm getting up today to be productive. If I don't have a shoot, I'm going to be doing this, 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 and this. So many
Right.
people to this day still ask me, so did you work today? I'm like, yes, yes. If I don't have a wedding, if I'm not on set, if I don't have, another job that day, yes, I'm answering emails. I'm getting my kit ready.
Yeah.
I'm
It's all I do
actively
is work.
working with my life coaching degree. Like,
Yeah.
yes, yes, it never
All I
stops.
do.
You can never
People
have a
don't
day.
realize like when you're a business owner and you're an entrepreneur, like people think like, "Oh, I would love to start my own business someday. That way I can like have time off." It's like, "No, no, 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 no. You only ever work." It doesn't
Right.
get like easier when you get close to the top. You actually work more. Andrew Tate talks about that all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, "I work more than I've ever worked in my whole life." It's not
You
like
just
that.
don't have the ability to turn off, whether it's answering an email at midnight or,
Yeah.
um, just having a deadline that I have due for a client that I need to get done.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And it's so funny. The other day, my parents came to visit and they wanted to explore the area a little bit. And as they were leaving, I don't remember what context, but it stuck with me where my mom's like, "Well, what time do you normally get up?" I'm like, 5:30. She's like, "Ugh, why?" I'm like, because I can get a lot done before, some of the things open at 10 or certain errands that I need to
Right.
run for just the house. Like I can get a lot done and I'm the most productive between 5:30 and 10 a.m.
Oh yeah.
Because usually 10 to 1, I have emails that I'm answering, clients that I'm reaching out to. In the afternoon, I usually am doing more research when it comes to life coaching or
Mhm.
researching for a client a specific look that we're doing for a documentary that I'm working on.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
wanna waste we don't have the opportunity to be like, "Well, I gotta go clock in at 9, and then I get my
Yeah.
lunch break, and then I can clock out at 5 and finally relax. I can have a beer or have some wine and do it all again tomorrow." It's
Yeah.
just you have to hold yourself accountable, and that's
Yeah.
the reason my sobriety journey has been so inspiring because as a business owner, I'm finally in the mindset of instead of having to look up at my problems business tax and sales tax and forming LLCs and all that fun stuff that I wasn't prepared for, certainly. I get to now like climb that and start standing on top of that stress and not
Right.
using alcohol as like a I've worked hard this week, now I get to play even harder because I'm gonna
Right.
pay for it the next few days and I'm gonna be just a pile
Yeah.
of shit basically and get nothing done.
And there's that quote that drinking today is borrowing from tomorrow's joy.
I love
I
that.
love that because it is so
That's so true.
true. I noticed
That's so
like
true.
I don't know how I ever day drink. That was like the worst thing ever. Like now if cuz drinking slows me down so much, like I cannot have a drink before evening time. Like
Yeah.
if I have a drink, I won't get anything done. Like it's crazy the months that so last year I took 4 months off. I took 2 consecutively and then 2 randomly. And oh, and this year too, I took February off. Um, but so I've been doing months, and it's crazy. Like I'm almost more productive in just those months than I am maybe like for the next 6. So it really does affect you more than you think. And like I love like sober people energy. Like recently I had a house guest from hell, um absolutely like wasted, blacked out, and I actually like have banned people from coming into my home for the next indefinite amount of time. I was like, okay, we're on lockdown, fucking shut the shutters, like no one's coming in anymore because I was so like, wow, I haven't been around drunk culture like this. And it was someone from Wisconsin actually.
Go
um
figure. Sorry,
yeah,
Wisconsin.
she was a maniac. Yeah. And I was like, I haven't been around like drunk energy like that in so long. Like I just realized like how disgusting it is. And having to explain to somebody what they did last night and like they don't remember. I'm just like, you know what? I'm like almost 40. I'm too
Yeah,
fucking old for this. Like I'm not and I realized like I haven't been around that really since I moved to Florida because people don't do that. They don't drink as
right,
much. Not saying that there aren't drunkards here, or there
right.
are, and they have bath salts here. So you might get stabbed, by a hobo with a pair of box cutters, but
We'll
he'll
be
be on bath
sober.
salts. It won't be alcohol. Yeah. So you never know. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot what that energy was like. And like, I used to bartend for so long and I was just like,
Mhm.
ugh, I just
Just
want
in that
nothing to
culture.
do with this shit. Yeah. Gross energy all
Yeah.
around.
Well, it helps too if you're around close friends or family or partners that don't drink or drink very, very
Oh
rarely.
yeah.
Rarely. That has been such a good like source of motivation to be like, okay, I know that my husband doesn't go out and drink. He's not at a bar. We still have had date nights and of course we've still had, vacations where we've drank a little bit more, but overall, like we're both too busy. And having
Yeah.
that as like a support that I wasn't really expecting because when I first came to and I was like, you know what, September 2nd, 2023, I made the decision I'm not going to drink for as long as I can.
Yeah.
And the day before, it was my beautiful cousin's wedding, and I drank enough, but I also sweat it all out because I was dancing and we were in Tennessee and it was hot as hell. So for
Hmm.
me, I'm like, okay, I'm not even a little buzzed right now. So we'll keep dancing, keep drinking. And for whatever reason, it just hit me where I'm like, you know what? Something is telling me I just need to take a break. I don't know how long. I don't know if it's forever. And I know it's at least a month. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna literally stick with it this time because I only
And
had
just
that
follow
one
it through.
time. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like a month became 2, became 3 and 4. And it got to a point, and again, like around family and friends, like, well, why? What happened? I'm like, there wasn't anything big that happened. I just decided to do my research and I just realized this is just not for me anymore.
Yeah.
It just isn't. And I've like sniffed someone's drink and I took a little sip and I'm like, oh, I can't. Like it just smells
Yeah.
like straight like rubbing alcohol now.
Yeah. I have another couple of friends, a married couple, and they've been sober for together for over a year. And she had a reason. She was like found out she had some cancer, and she was able to heal it. She had some medical help, but went mostly holistic, and their family transformed in like miraculous ways. And like I went
That's
out to dinner with them over Christmas, and like they're still sober, and we had a ball. No one was drinking, and we had a ball, and none of us could shut up. We were like, yeah, and this, and yeah, and this, and like it's not like you think it's going to be. It's not like you're a social pariah and you'll
Right.
never laugh again, and you're living
Right.
proof of that, and your skin and hair look flawless, honestly.
I've
uh
lost so much of like just that puffiness through here. Because I
yeah.
always had a little puff. Like my sister was always the one who's like a 00, can eat like a cow. I'm not like that. I always had like that little bit of curve, and I've
Oh,
lost so
you
much
always
weight
look
in it.
gorgeous to me, but yeah, I can tell that you're like, you're just luminous. I can see it. Yeah, very, very
Thank
beautiful.
you. And I think one of the best parts is being like getting older and realizing like, okay, I can't fall asleep as fast anymore. I can't,
Hmm.
stay asleep as much. So being able to get up so early and wanting to get up even earlier, I'm trying to get up even earlier
It's
and being
always
able
my
to
struggle.
fill my day. So that way I can just like crawl into bed and be like, I deserve this sleep tonight and not
Yeah.
having to worry about like, did I take enough Excedrin migraine? Did I drink enough water? I
Mm.
can't even hold my
Yeah.
alcohol anymore. Am I going to get sick? Am I going to get hungover? I love that feeling of just like
Waking
enjoying
up
sleep,
clean.
waking up clean. That's such a great
Yeah.
way to put it. And it's not, you don't have to be like an alcoholic to stop. You just have to get to a point where you feel like you deserve better.
Oh,
And
for
that just
sure.
has to come out just not at all criticizing anybody's choice or anything,
Right.
but just being able to do that little bit of research and just kind of be like, what am I actually putting into my body? Because I was raised in an environment, in a climate where, like, here's 2 bottles of wine. I bought
You
some
drink.
for you.
Yeah, and if you don't take shots with
Consumption.
us, like we're gonna
Yes.
just, yeah, ostracize
Yeah.
you. Like, do
Yeah.
the shot.
Well, I think it's
Yeah.
also being surrounded by certain people who are starting to get, beyond early 30s, mid 30s, starting to get even older than that, where it's like you just see your peers just getting into bar fights, calling you and telling you about it, not taking any responsibility, not like turning the next page where, oh, you're in your 30s now, or you're almost 40, you have to be boring. But,
Right.
for me, I got a lot of that out of my system. Not getting into any
Same.
bar fights or anything, but we can handle our alcohol.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like I had that phase of
You
growing to
had that
do.
experience. Yeah.
And we can either continue those patterns and I continue patterns of like generational alcohol abuse, or I can
Right.
actually be strong enough to choose a different path,
Well,
which has
yeah.
been so
And like, you get to design your life, and like, what does that look like? Like that you had those experiences, but like, what, it's not like it's over. The party's not over. It's really just beginning, because like, where's all that extra financial, waste that was going to be spent on alcohol? What is that going to be applied to? Maybe it's a new
absolutely.
boat. Maybe it's more vacations. Maybe it's whatever. Like,
Yeah.
your dream, you get to decide. And there's so much energy to pursue it and freedom to do it. And now,
Yep.
so you're taking all this extra energy, and you're now a life coach, and you've got all of these extra, you're in the, I have some makeup questions for you, by the way.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I know you're such a gifted makeup artist,
Thank you.
and you've done my makeup on many occasions. And I actually was looking for that first photo shoot we did together that one time with the
You
red
helped
dress
me
at the
get my
Maxwell
start.
Mansion.
You helped me get my start because we did that
Oh,
shoot, and that was such a great like staple piece for me because I'm like, wow, like she looks great, her hair looks great. You have such a great face to do
the
makeup on,
makeup. It was
and
all the makeup.
I'm like, wow, yes. I'm like, okay, I actually can have a future in this because it wasn't just my sister that I grabbed real quick and I was like, let me put this makeup on you. Like, you have to do it. You're my sister.
Yeah, right. That's what sisters are
And
for.
she did, which
Yeah.
is great. Like, your shoot specifically made me be like, okay, I'm not just
I was blown away. I didn't think I could look that good. But if you ever, I don't know what happened to that picture. If you ever come across it, please
have
send
it.
it to me.
I will send it.
Oh,
I have it.
yes.
Yes.
If you send it to me, I'll put it in this clip so we can show people. But she
Okay.
is a wizard, a sorceress of makeup, and so gifted. So I have a question for you, and I'm sure a lot of people out there can relate to this. So, like, as we get older, our skin changes, I have like some melasma, like up here. They look like freckles, but my I have a holistic facial lady, and she told me like sunspots, people call them sunspots, age spots,
Mhm.
whatever. She said it's from having actually a sluggish liver, and also um, estrogen. Like as you hit your 30s, like we start to produce more estrogen.
Right.
And if your liver's not functioning perfectly, like it can create spots like freckles. People think they're freckles, they're not. So do you have any makeup tips for like, because you can still see them. I don't know if you can see them in this light, but I hate wearing foundation. But I need to if I want to cover that. Do you have any tricks for like covering that up? I'm sure a lot of women will appreciate this. Like,
So it's so funny you said that too, because alcohol can really affect your estrogen levels too, especially when it comes to spots on the skin too. And alcohol
okay.
is one of the number one things that will age you.
Oh, yeah.
Alcohol, smoking, sun, and being in Florida, you still have such beautiful skin and you're taking care of your skin. I can tell you're wearing SPF.
I hide my face from the sun. I always wear big floppy hats. Like I'll
Yeah,
get sun on the rest of my body, but 20 minutes, it's all you need
yeah,
for your DNA to get
especially
the
out
light
there.
codes and everything. You don't need any
Yeah.
more than that. Yeah.
I actually have learned a really good technique for applying and keeping the makeup on a little longer is using a wet sponge.
Okay.
So what I do is I'll take coverage and I'll actually use my hands because the warmth of my hands allow it just has a little bit more it's not quite so like sticky. I get to like kind of
Okay.
warm it with my fingertips. And when I dab it in, I take my sponge, my wet sponge, and I just kind of do a light layer, wait for about 5 minutes, and maybe do like another one.
Oh, you can double layer it. Okay.
You
I didn't
can if
know.
it's light enough. You don't
Yeah.
want to just like slap it on or do
Yeah.
heavy. The more heavy coverage, the more chances that your makeup is just going to start
Get
sliding, especially
cakey.
in the heat. Yes. So if
Yes.
you
I
can
hate that.
be dedicated enough to kind of wait that 5 minutes and reapply and use a sponge, it's
Okay.
a game changer for sure.
Okay.
But yes,
Awesome.
keep wearing sunscreen. And again, alcohol will literally just age your skin under the
Oh, yeah.
eyes, spots, I mean, redness and puffiness. So that's the moral of the
Totally.
story here.
Oh, I notice like huge when I take like months off, like I notice it's in my nose first. Like my
Mhm.
nose will look thinner right away. And
Yeah,
I'm like, it looks like I just got a nose job. That
yeah,
was all like
puffy.
puffiness from
Yeah,
alcohol.
and then
Yeah.
like
And
the
like
jowl area
my
too.
fingers, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, my like knuckles and stuff, I'll be like, whoa, who dis? Who dare? You know? Who dat? Yeah, I mean, I'm like, I'm not quite there, but I can feel, I've been feeling it for a long time that that's just like, I know we have to break up. You know, it's like a bad relationship, but like the
Yeah.
sex is good. So you stay and you think you're getting like that, satisfaction out of it. But like all the other drama that comes with it makes it toxic. And you're just like, I'm almost there. I'm almost ready, you know?
For me, it was really important to try to find alternatives that were just not water or just like straight soda.
Yeah.
Uh, I obviously drink quite a bit of water, but I'm like, I don't want to be that person when we go to dinner or someplace, especially with friends.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just have water where
Yeah.
it's not a
I'm
bad thing.
like
But
a
that's where
sparkling water
people,
junkie,
yes,
like
me too. That's where people
tons.
tend to like give you more of that stigma. So I actually found, which I should send to you, there is a company where they do alcohol free liquors, and there is an amazing smoky mezcal. I mean,
Mm,
it's awesome. It smells like it.
I
I
love
get
mezcal.
my
Yeah.
margaritas with it. I'm like, this literally tastes like tequila.
That's
I took a
awesome.
shot and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is
Oh, I love
unbelievable.
it.
They still have they have White Claws now, which are non-alcoholic, which is great.
I just
And
saw
you can
that.
start,
That's awesome. I would like to continue my basic bitch
yeah, you
drinking
can still
habits and still
get
have
some
a,
of the
yeah.
flavor without the poison that
Right.
comes with it. Blue Moon is my favorite beer. They now have non-alcoholic Blue Moon, so I can still get
Cool.
that like delicious orange taste. And I have
Yeah.
found amazing alcohol-free proseccos. I'm like, yes. So it was one of those things too, where I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you know what? People are really starting to kind of wake up, and culture is really starting to get on board with more of a sober, curious type of lifestyle. So you don't have
Yeah.
to just be water, just soda, juice. There's definitely things, and especially in your area. I'm hoping that the Midwest, Wisconsin, can start integrating. I was at a alcohol um, store the other day in Burlington, and I asked if the off chance, like, do you have any alcohol free? liquor, and he just is like, I've never heard of that. I'm like, yeah, we might
What?
be a little too rural for here, but
Yeah.
if I go over the border into Illinois, I can always
Yeah.
find, a Benny's that can help.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's and that's what's so cool. Like that, I love that you use the term sober curious because I think when people first hear this, they're like, people can feel judged or they can
Mhm.
feel like pressured, like, well, I don't want to change my lifestyle or I feel like I'm being told what to do. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, that this is just like another way to another path, but it doesn't have
Right.
to be, maybe you don't go sober all the time. Maybe you just like take big breaks or something. Maybe you just start to get curious about it. And that's what's
Mhm.
interesting is like, well, maybe I noticed that like, for me, I had to replace it with a positive, not like what I'm giving up. Because even when I'm going, for long periods of time without alcohol, at the end of my shows or whatever, I want to drink,
Yeah.
and
Or
so I
suffer
have
you end
to
it.
I have to rewire my brain to remember that what I'm getting the next morning. I know what that feeling is when
Yeah.
I wake up and I'm like, and the birds are chirping and I see the
Yeah.
butterflies and I'm not going to
You're
look
just
like a
you're
dungeon troll. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like people can just know that this is an option. It's not like you're not
Yeah.
shaming anybody or anything, and
Yeah.
um
Well, and humans are so habitual that
yeah.
we do the same thing over and over. We don't learn from history, we don't learn from our mistakes. So, it's very easy to fall into that Friday night pattern,
Oh
that
yeah.
Thursday night pattern, it's just very easy to kind of fall into that.
Right.
But even just you don't have to look at yourself and be like, "Ooh, like, oh man, I am a binge drinker," or maybe I do abuse alcohol, I'm an excessive drinker, like I need to stop immediately. Like you can get to that point on your own. But that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you
No.
have some crazy problem, but it's just something that you can do. There are amazing resources and tools out there, and there's alternatives to drink too, which can help. But I think it's also people not wanting to let go of what comfort that alcohol can bring.
Oh
Because I do
yeah.
think that, especially with some of my friends and like family members, it's a certain comfort that they've had for so long that it outweighs all of the drama, all the
And
hangovers,
it's
all the
instantaneous.
all the diseases that it's created, all of the, health bills, and that mindset is very difficult to just pump the brakes on.
Well, I've noticed too of people who tend to need to drink or really feel the desire to, typically always experience social anxiety. So I've
Mhm.
noticed that it's a lot of times people will go to that because it's like an instant physiological change. Like it works. It really does. Like if I'm feeling nervous, I know that I can take a shot even before a show. Like I do that too.
Mhm.
And I know exactly what that's going to do. I know exactly how I'm going to feel. It will be instant relief, but it's temporary and it's the illusion of relief because then I'll end up suffering for it down the road. But I've noticed too that it's like, when people, like you said, they are looking for that like instant fix or whatever, but you have to replace it with something positive, retrain your brain, essentially rewire your brain. Like I need to find the reward somewhere else, like where
Right.
it's working out or a new hobby or whatever. You have
Yeah.
to train yourself to get a reward somewhere else, like an unearned dopamine hit. I just learned this
Yeah.
term from this
I love
super
that.
badass Asian warrior dude. He's like sober and Primal Physique is his page. But he's like unearned dopamine hits. Cut them out of your life. If you didn't earn it, don't do it. Like,
I love that.
and alcohol is like,
Well, and so many people can take that too to be like, and that's how my mentality was. Is like I've worked hard all week. I was in Chicago 3 times a week. I worked 2 giant bridal parties. It's Saturday at 5 o'clock. Like
oh yeah,
I've
yeah,
earned my
true,
bottles
yeah.
of Prosecco. I've earned, a
Isn't that
martini,
funny how we rationalize that? Yep.
and it's like I've earned it. And then
Yeah.
Sunday comes around where I'm like, oh gosh. And then Monday too. I'm like, oh, well,
Yeah. So
yeah,
again,
man.
so you're
So it's
stealing tomorrow's joy.
yeah,
So
it's rerouting your brain to think like, not that I've earned this, but you've earned, the dopamine hit of like, wow, I had a really intense work week, or um, I had a really busy week. I had whatever good thing that has happened, to be like, I don't want to ruin that with
yeah.
downing poison right now to make myself feel like crap, and then realize like that whole week was just kind of a wash almost. Like
Yeah.
I've earned it to relax in a different way, to enjoy time with my friends or family or spouse uninhibited without
Yeah.
any type of substance. And I think that's something that starts with a lot of communication too, because alcohol can be such a great mask to like help
Mm.
prevent communicating and help prevent, those awkward
Oh,
moments between friends or spouses or whatever the case may be. And
well,
that's definitely been a great.
communication, like, I mean, even I know I've had arguments with, boyfriends in the past or whatever when alcohol was involved, and you just go round and round and round and round and nothing ever gets solved. Like when you're with a person who doesn't drink, you're like, wow, communication is so beautiful and it flows authentically and it's genuine and it's not masked with alcohol. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, that becomes a different, dating is a
I think
different thing
it's also
too.
kind of like being able to admire the person you're with, whether it's husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever you're with, if they don't drink or if they drink very, very minimally, to be like,
Hmm.
I wonder why. Like, I always thought, like, why was that? What, like, I know you don't have a
Yeah.
problem, but like,
What do
why?
you know?
What do you do? Yeah.
What do you know over
Like,
there?
why do you think you don't need it?
Right.
And
Yeah.
saying, putting my mind to it and being like, you really actually physically don't need this. You're not an alcoholic. You're not abusing it. But it's becoming a problem where I don't want to do this. And
Yeah.
being a business owner too, it's holding yourself accountable for the next day and the next opportunity and the next, thing that comes your way, which it was
Um,
a huge reason to really go the sober route.
I I'm curious. So I like Chris Williamson. I love his podcast, and
Mhm.
he went sober for over 1,000 days, and maybe he still is not drinking. I haven't followed up, but he said the main thing he gained was like superior confidence. And I know like that was my biggest fear was performing in front of people without alcohol.
Yeah.
And like I also experienced that like by the end of like the 60 days that I had done, I was like, wow, I actually believe in my mind for some reason that drunk Adrian or like, under the influence is actually better at fine motor skills than sober Adrian. What
Right.
I realized is like my voice, like my muscles, my control and my guitar and piano playing was like a superior level than it had been before. But I thought in my mind that like, no, 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 I need the alcohol to shine. And it was actually
Mhm.
like, I don't know how good I am when I'm drinking actually, like
Right.
the I don't do you did you experience this like your confidence and like your skills and stuff like would
So
you
I
say
definitely I definitely experienced more confidence when it came to handling like the back end of the business.
got you.
I've
Okay.
never ever in any of my, definitely not like on set or during productions, but
Yeah, I guess different industries you're not drinking on
yeah,
set,
but
so
I get offered a glass of champagne or a mimosa every time I work a wedding, which
that
is
would be
every
hard for me to turn down. I'd be like,
almost every
"Ooh,
Friday now.
okay."
I'm so booked. And for me, I'm like, well, a mimosa, that's not going to do anything to me. However, like I'm responsible for handling hot tools around your face, for putting on your lashes,
Right.
for being able to give you this look. And I don't want anything, even a sip of Prosecco or champagne to
Yeah,
affect. But I noticed more that my confidence started to propel more when it came to like the back end of the business.
sure.
It came to more of the structuring, the scheduling, taxes, more of like the stuff that we don't like to do as
Yeah,
business because we
the
don't have,
organizational stuff.
yeah, we don't have a company as a W-2 employee who takes care of all that. And that was always another reason not to drink, but to be like, oh, today was just a day of paperwork, of back end stuff. I need a drink.
Yeah,
Like, I'll handle this tomorrow. I'm not doing this. I'll call my accountant tomorrow. We'll figure it
right.
out then.
Yeah,
And it came to a point of like, no, like this really isn't that big of a deal. It's really not that
just
big of a deal. Every
do
business
it
owner
now.
experiences it in some form. So we're taking care of it. And this is what it is. It's like a small business owner. You're the one taking care of it. I don't have,
Right. A
millions of
team.
dollars to like hire all these other people to take care of it. And then I just have to focus on the service portion.
Right. And now, so you are. a life coach, and you are potentially going to be sober coaching. Is that correct?
That is my goal.
Okay.
I
Something you
got
see
my
for the future. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I got my certification as a life coach with an emphasis on spirituality last year.
Okay.
And that definitely was a huge shift in the way that I saw alcohol too. With life coaching, you're helping people to obtain their goals um, through action steps. And in order to do that, you are shifting blocks that you
Mm-hmm.
might not even realize are there, inner blocks,
Mm-hmm.
emotional blocks. Um, a good example is having a client who says, like, I want to lose 20 pounds by the end of the summer. So then our goal then is to take action steps and to help you come up with a plan of how to lose that. And as we go through it, we start to realize, like, well, what's preventing you from this workout today or eating this way? Like, what set you back? What do you think has been setting you back from that? And it's starting to unpack some of the emotional blocks that we find are
Mm.
really preventing us from being able to make decisions, set
Right.
goals, keep them. The most important thing I learned in life coaching too is that it's very difficult to like take that step, to take a physical step of doing something. We all talk all the time, I'm going to do this and this and this, but then we actually have to do it. And
Yeah.
that's really awesome with life coaching. And it's something that I definitely want to explore. Hopefully, this year I can get certified when it comes to being a sober coach and being that support system for somebody who is sober curious or recovering
Right.
from alcohol or, anything like that nature.
And so I know you were going through a lot of like personal stuff as well.
Mhm.
And how would you say that like did that was that a huge factor too? Like your personal health and well-being, like you made some major changes from that
Yeah.
too? Like,
Yeah. So I haven't really opened up too much about it, but I've definitely been experiencing some fertility issues.
okay.
And, you know, talking to doctors and talking to people, I'm realizing like I'm very healthy, everything is normal. But that's just like one extra thing I don't want to put in my. That's one extra thing I don't want to screw up with. One extra thing
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to
Why
make
take that
a promise with.
chance?
Yeah. So I think that was another reason too to be like, when you're past 30, I've heard it can get a little tougher to conceive. However, after talking with more doctors, it's more and more normal for women in their 40s, I guess,
Hmm.
which I'm like, oh, I do have a
Yeah.
little time then. But it was
Well,
just one more thing to be like,
yeah,
I'm
another
on the right
push.
path for. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I actually just read that a study about how when women who give birth over 40, actually, they're 4 times more likely to live past 100.
Oh, I
So
believe that.
to live
I
longer
feel
because you
like
have a reason to,
40 is the new 30, like 30 is the new
honestly.
20. Like we're just
I'm
starting
all
to
about it.
age, which I love.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not, I was never sure if I wanted to have kids. I actually always adamantly, vehemently was
Mhm.
like, I'll never have kids. Like,
You're the fun aunt.
I'm the fun aunt, and I've raised a lot of humans. I'm still raising humans in my family, and emotionally, financially. So I was just like, I'm done. And so, but now, like, I'm in such a great place in my life. I'm like, well, maybe,
Yeah,
And
maybe.
so yeah, so I'm 39. Like my stepmom had my little sister when she was 41, like 42, I think she actually had her. And my little sister's 23, gorgeous, beautiful, smart little baby.
Yeah.
Not a baby anymore, but I still see her as a baby. But like, yeah, so I think that this is like such a really empowering time for women where we're realizing like it's not as much of a timeline as we thought it was. I
Mhm.
personally don't believe the medical system when it comes to the whole. It's the same way I feel about like the life expectancy. Like if you look at the Bible, and which is like the oldest, most corroborated book
Right.
in history, there's nothing that's been corroborated more than the stories in the Bible ever. And so if you look at like biblical stories, they people were living to be like 500, 800 years old. However you want to take that, could be metaphorical, I don't know, but like, we do know that throughout history people have lived a lot longer, and now all of a sudden in this time period they're like, it's you're 70 years old, time to march on and die now, and they make us believe that we have to go and die. Like,
Well, yeah, it's like
I
the
don't
whole
believe that.
it's just one more way to get money from someone, especially in
Yeah.
places like Canada where you're like, "Oh yeah, sign there's something wrong with you. Let's sign you up for euthanasia. Let's take care of it. Let's bring you
Yeah.
along here." And it's just like I don't know why when we get to certain ages we're just immediately like, "Well, I'm 40, like that's it.
I
I'm
just saw
40, like that's it."
I just saw Miss Universe Buenos Aires. Did you see her? She's 60 and
Yes.
she's hotter than I will ever be, than I ever
Amazing.
have been. 60 years old. And like all the women down here, you should see like on the beach, if you like see them from far away, you're like, wow, she must be like 19 years old. And you get up close and you're like, guy, you're 80. Whoa. Like you cannot tell because they're out in the sun, they're grounding, they're in the
Yeah.
ocean air, the sea salt in the air, and like people are just happier and healthier. So like, yeah, I mean, I don't believe in the whole like, okay, it's time to act old and die now. Like, I'm not into that life.
No,
I want to
not
live
at all.
forever.
Not at all. And I think, being able to rely on you can be happy with yourself and you're enough. I think that just adds so many years to your life. And one more alcohol stat that I found unbelievable is that excessive drinking. So for like us, if we would have 8 or more drinks a week, we're considered excessive drinkers,
Oh
which
yeah,
I've definitely done that before.
hell yeah,
That can
absolutely.
shorten your lifespan by 26 years if you
That's
just
crazy.
are going to continue and
Yeah,
continue and continue. And I'm like, wow, that's nuts. Because
yeah,
I know
it's
family and friends,
that.
that's like a common thing. That's just what you do. You know?
Well, and I think too, because I think I don't know for you, but for me, I feel like safe because I know people that drink so much more than I do. And I'm like, well, I'm not that bad compared to that guy. But
And you can
then,
always do that, like, well, I'm not that bad. Like, oh, you
yeah,
stop drinking? Well, I'm not as bad as you. Where it's like, well,
right.
everybody
S-
can do the best for themselves, but just
Yeah,
we're not alcoholics doesn't mean
yeah,
that we just want to choose something different, trying
yeah.
something.
And you're doing it to give yourself something, not to punish yourself. So it's not a punishment for people who
Yeah,
are like, and not saying anyone has to
absolutely.
change their life, but this is just an option. And I thought it was important to have you talk about your perspective and your journey with this, because I know so many people, I swear, like this conversation topic comes up all the time,
Yeah,
and people are just choosing more and more to enjoy. I just had another girlfriend who was down, who's been sober for almost 2 years straight now. And like, we had a whole vacation, no alcohol, and we had a blast. We were like
yeah,
little kids, it was
yeah.
so fun. We're actually probably like closer, and we talked about
There's
real
nothing
conversation.
inhibiting. There's no
Yeah.
veil.
No
There's no.
barrier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I
So
think it's easy to kind of look at it too if you want to just like kind of get right down to it. There's so many negatives that can happen when you drink physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. There's only positives that can come from not drinking.
yeah, I know.
Kind
Like,
of weighing it out, like pros and cons. And that was something that a mutual friend of ours, we talked about, where I'm like, I really don't want to I don't want to do anything when I'm drinking that can separate me spiritually.
yeah,
We kind of had a little of debate, like, well, no, that's not possible to be able to do that. I'm like, yeah, but there's something just weighing on me saying like, if I just kind of follow the habits of generations before me, I'm
mm,
only going to reach a certain level of potential and I'm
yeah,
going to really cut myself off at the knees. And I feel like there could be years just wasted. So it's
totally.
just looking at all of these different, if you want to write it out on a spreadsheet or something, look at it black and white, there's just
Yeah.
so many positives that can come from it. And unfortunately, there's just a lot of negatives of just kind of continuing to
Yeah.
poison yourself. Really.
And you and I think are very similar in our, spiritual element. And, I'm sure you've heard this too, but there's a reason that they call it the spirits. And they say that
Mm-hmm.
when people black out, it's actually because their body's so toxic, it's too toxic for their soul. So their soul will vacate temporarily. And that's when like entities and demons and stuff can basically take your body for a joyride. And if you've ever known someone who was like doing horrible things when they were blacked out,
Right.
like you know, and people say like, oh, it's so not like them. Oh, they would never do that sober.
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe it wasn't
Sometimes you just look
you.
at their eyes and you're like,
It is in the
they're not
eyes.
there, you know?
I have a picture of someone, I'll never forget this, someone we know, thou shalt not say his name, but I have a picture of someone and like they just flashed, like looked at me, and I happened to be taking the photo, and I was like, "Huh." Like I looked at the picture later on and they were blacked out that night. It was black, 100% black eyes. Like I showed one of my other friends and she was like, you got to get that off your phone. That's a demon. Like
That's totally a demon.
it
Like,
was
spirit taking
terrifying.
over. Yeah.
I could feel it. Like I could feel the negative entity. And they say that the like demons and dark energies will actually wait and hang around you, and ask any drug addict or alcoholic. They
Mhm.
say that the demons are always like two steps behind them. And I
Yeah.
believe that that's literal. I think that they really are. They know this person, you know, drinks a lot and always has like a vacant seat if they just hang around long enough so they can
Right.
take your body for a joyride, which
Right.
is terrifying. You know, they say the same thing about porn too. It's like it
Mhm.
allows dark energies to attach to our and our soul, our
Yeah.
spirit. Creepy.
Absolutely.
I ain't
I
trying to
think
do
that's so
that.
true. You know,
I ain't
that's
trying
so
to do that.
true. And it's just, you watch somebody go through like the phases of alcohol, kind of like we talked about, like kind of the happy go lucky, the
Yeah.
euphoric, and then you're like, we're just gonna go straight downhill after that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's someone that's in my life where I'm like, there's like specific stages. I'm like, we've hit this stage, we're in this stage, I'm ready for this stage now. And I don't want to be around for that stage.
Yeah.
So I'm out.
Oh, same. I have those people in my life as well, family, and it's crazy that they are the only ones that don't think they have a problem.
Mhm.
And yeah, and you watch and you're like, you know, I got to go. So and so is at that stage and it's about to get bad real quick. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go. And yeah, I mean, and again, that's why most people don't stop because they're like, well, I don't do what that guy does, so I must be okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I'm
cool to just explore. Yeah, what else does life have to offer? Okay, so we're not drinking, but like
right.
we're not poisoning
And I think
ourselves.
it's important to let everybody know too, like you are so much more than what you're being limited with substance. You are so much more.
Yeah.
The substance just continues to limit you no matter what it is. You're always going to be defined and pushed down by that. So don't
Well,
limit yourself. And even if you're just curious, just explore it a little bit. There's a great something that's completely changed my life and really keeping me sober is a podcast. It's called the Alcohol Free Lifestyle Podcast
okay.
by James Swanwick, and he has dedicated his life. He was a binge drinker. He was successful, but he realized, like as a business owner, he was only capped at a certain spot, and he's
Hmm.
dedicated his life to keeping people as sober as they want to be, either like completely alcohol free, limiting their alcohol. And he works with business owners to figure out why they're only at a certain level of success and
Wow.
how drinking plays a part. And as soon as I found it, I'm like, okay, here's my answer. Here I am.
Wow.
And it's a game changer.
That's amazing. Yeah, a lot of my favorite people, gurus that I look up to, like life coaches and stuff. Like I don't think Tony Robbins drinks. If he
Mm-hmm.
does, it's very
No,
rare,
I
but I
don't think
know
so.
a lot of those dudes are really intense. Like Tony Robbins doesn't even drink coffee and I'm like, "Whoa, buddy. Like stop threatening me. Why are you
Like
yelling at
that's
me?"
that's one thing. It's just not gonna happen.
Do
Like
not mess with my coffee. I'm not at that level of living yet. We're not talking about that. Those are fighting words.
coffee's my
Um,
last vice. I'll,
yeah,
I'll
you gotta have something. Come on. Um, dang it. I was gonna say something. I totally lost it. Oh well. It'll come back. It'll come back at 2 in the morning when no one's around to talk
right,
to.
right.
That's what always happens. I'm like, where did that go? Okay, so that podcast that's cool for people. What's it called again?
It's alcohol free lifestyle,
Alcohol free
and
lifestyle.
his
Okay, easy
name
to
is
remember.
yeah, James Swanwick, and he is just transformed just my whole mindset about alcohol, and thinking like, well, okay, I can do a month, but can I do more than that? I think I can. I never
Yeah.
thought of myself as having an addictive personality, but being so ingrained and these habits that I've developed while I was drinking, but then witnessing habits for my whole life, and just the guests that he has, the stories that he tells, his own story. um, it's so easy to just be like, wow, like I am totally on the right path right now. He's had a couple episodes where he's like, we're just going to dedicate today to show you the effects of what you're doing to yourself physically.
Wow.
And that was like an eye opener to be like, okay, if I can stop now with just some of my patterns,
Right.
I can really extend myself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, every way.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Absolutely.
His whole team, they're wonderful. And they help people from just being sober curious to people who identify as like a binge drinker. I definitely fit that category. To excessive drinkers to alcoholics. So it's they help everybody on that spectrum.
Well, and you said too, like about reaching your potential. And I think it's really interesting. Like I've always believed for a long time, like there's a reason that alcohol is legal. And I think that, without, I'm pretty conspiracy minded, but like
Oh
I
my gosh.
definitely
I'm wearing
believe
the
that,
tinfoil hat with you too. So
yeah, like there's a
oh,
reason, dude. They don't want us waking up and evolving.
mhm,
Like I think about the Boston Tea Party all the time. Like those dudes went nuts and dumped like $2 million in today's economy worth of tea into the harbor because of a 3% tax hike, like
right.
all the crazy stuff that's going on now. Like they want us to be sick and stupid and drunk and watching Netflix and chill. And that's our life,
Mhm.
like busy on our phones, like hookup culture, like they're just poison yourself, be promiscuous, watch, Cardi B twerk her butthole on the stage,
Mhm.
but don't think, definitely don't get healthy, no sun, no healthy fats and steaks and everything, all the stuff that's going to cure us. Like, don't do that. Just keep drinking, keep getting on more medication for that. I know we're similar in our
Oh yeah.
our thought there. So
The amount of money that is just in the alcohol industry alone is, I mean, that's one thing too, like with this podcast. It's like billions of dollars
mm,
just to keep you hooked, to keep that
yeah,
party going, 4th of July party and Friday night and, dinners and this
to
and there's
normalize it.
always a reason to drink. There's always a
Yeah,
reason. And if you don't have one, we'll find one for you.
yeah. Drink when
And
you're happy, drink when you're sad.
mhm,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, we always said that in the bar industry. It doesn't matter what the economy's doing because people celebrate and they drink when they're depressed. They
Yep.
drink when they're broke. Doesn't matter. So, yeah, there's a lot of like subliminal programming.
That money comes in even more than like, obviously I've been a bartender too, and serving, like, yeah, you can get your steak and sure that'll cost a certain amount, but you've had 4 drinks of a highball or a martini that costs $20 a pop. Like that's where we're getting you. That's where
Yeah.
we're getting you. And then you're gonna come drink afterward at the bar. And
Yeah.
it's just amazing too how there's just like there's such a need to drink, you
Yeah.
know and unfortunately most people just need a little push. They just need to see an ad or you know walk through a store and see their favorite drink or wanting to try a new flavor.
That's all it
um,
takes for me. I'm like,
yeah,
wow.
that's all
Oh,
it took for me too. I'm like,
thank
ooh,
you.
my prosecco's on
Yeah.
sale, done.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, and the bar industry, I think, is evolving a ton. Like it is so cool to see mocktails on every single menu when I go out now. Like
Yeah.
I had when I was going through, when I take my breaks, like my favorite taco place down the street, like they have this pineapple, smoky jalapeno chipotle margarita, alcohol free, and they do like a tahine rim. It's
Oh,
gorgeous. It's got like, yeah, it's just beautiful. But they have a whole mocktail list and like
love that.
so many people
I
in the
hope
bar
that this
industry.
area can get to that point where they start introducing more mocktails. And um, I've been doing more and more going out in this area where I'm like, can I do this one cocktail, but can you take the vodka out and just
Yeah,
have it be a refresher?
yeah,
Starbucks right now, so they're getting a ton of hate, but they're doing these like spicy refreshers, and people are like, "Oh, this is disgusting. It's so hot." I'm like, "This is a spicy margarita that's not alcoholic. You people are nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
They're amazing. They're overpriced.
I
Good.
I got to tell you, I pretty much disagree with everything about Starbucks. Their whole ideology, like the funding abortions and sex changes and shit for their employees. However, their customer service is impeccable and their food is delicious,
Their food is
and like I hate them for it, and some of their stuff is so delicious and I'm like, damn you, damn you. Dunkin' Donuts has better coffee, but
absolutely.
they can't get their shit together. Every time I go through the drive-through, there's like
Oh,
something crazy
there's always
happening.
something. Yeah.
Something crazy. But yeah, Starbucks, damn it. That sounds delicious. I will absolutely try that.
Yeah, I get to a point where I'm like, you know what? I've earned it. I'm gonna
I've
have
earned it.
I'm gonna have my spicy refresher, and you know what? I hope I don't foresee it really sticking around as much because people are like, ugh, ugh. I'm like, this is a spicy margarita without the alcohol.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
That
figure out how to make
yeah.
it myself, and that'll be my summer drink.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to let our audience know that we didn't talk about? I think we covered kind of
No,
everything, yeah.
I think it's really important just to let people know this is not a PSA to be like, you have to stop this right now.
Yeah.
But I think it's also really amazing to see two friends who just jump off that cliff every day in the business world. If you want to chase after a dream, you got to work for it, and this is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yep.
And I mean, that's the only way I can describe it. I'm literally leaping in the air, hoping to grab a rope or stick my landing somewhere, and it's worth it. And just really go for it. You're not going to maybe be a millionaire immediately, but you get the freedom to choose your life. And with that comes the ability to make those choices too, to be like, I don't need this bad habit or maybe this person in my life. It just for me has helped open some of those doors to really break
Mm.
some destructive patterns that could spiral into something more. So
Well,
if you want to go for it, research, do your best to go for it. It's so worth it to have that freedom. And now more than ever, having freedom is the most important thing.
well, yeah. I mean, I literally based my entire life around it, and certainly this podcast.
Yeah.
And, that's why it's people think potentially like maybe this podcast is just about like political freedom, and sure, that's a part of it, even though I feel like I'm kind of on a frequency above politics. I don't think like to me, I don't think politics matter anymore. Like once you free yourself from those, it's a mental
Mhm.
construct that people need to realize that we need to rise above that. It's
Right.
not
Once you
they
figure out the game of what
yeah,
it
they
is,
have us arguing
make it
down
just
here,
a
but
game.
you
Exactly.
can put yourself up here, and people don't realize like the it's freedom is in the mind.
Mhm.
It begins in the mind and the soul, and your sovereignty becomes there. And with the alcohol, it's like, why would you want to be a prisoner of something? Like you want to unlock yourself and walk out of as many jail cells as you possibly have,
Absolutely. I
that we
love
don't
the way
know.
you just put that. That's just such a great way of putting it because, again, whether you're just a social drinker, a binge drinker, excessive alcoholic, as many good times as you've had with alcohol, you've had many more bad times, whether it's
Yeah.
physically feeling bad, whether it's fighting or saying something you didn't mean, blacking out, God forbid, getting in an accident. Um, just being able to unlock yourself and just kind of open that potential is it's a good start just to get curious about it. And in this day and age, the more freedom we have, the better. So
Oh my gosh, amen, sister. We are on the same page with that. Yeah. And that's what life is all about for me, like the happiest authentic version of ourselves. But it comes from knowing yourself and asking these questions and getting curious like you said so many
yeah,
times, and like what does freedom look like for me personally, and how
right,
do I begin reclaiming my sovereignty? And I think it begins in the mind, like
absolutely.
everything else. It
And
begins in
you're so right with like it's all about what freedom looks like to you. And if that means like I'm fine, having my casual drink, like that's great. Could it also be like I can't get my head out of my phone?
yeah.
Um, I'm communicating poorly with my spouse. I am unhappy in this job. And that's another
Yeah.
way for life coaching to kind of integrate with that, to kind of help people realize like the potentials inside,
Oh,
and
yeah.
us making one choice, like sticking to like, today I'm going to make this choice for me.
Right.
Going to Starbucks, Adrian, it's your one choice. I'm going to make it. It's going to make me happy today. Or choosing not to go too. It's just having that freedom to be like, I'm choosing this today.
Yeah. And everybody should have a coach. I don't care who you are. You need a coach. You need a mentor. I was just talking about this with my friend Christy on my last podcast. Like,
Mhm.
if you're going to be a figure skater, you need a coach. Like, I
Right.
love Tony Robbins. Everyone knows that about me. So I take his seminars. I just did Unleash the Power Within, and it's like 30,000 people going absolutely ape shit, lifting your vibration and getting nuts and
Right.
like generating energy a bit. Like, I just started taking my vocal lessons again with my vocal coach. Like, I take guitar lessons with my guitar coach sometimes. Like, you need a coach. And I've had life coaches in the past, and I will again in the future. Like, every successful business person has a mentor. Every
Mhm.
person in the world who is successful has a coach.
Yeah.
So I love that you're coaching right now. I love that you come from like the spiritual and holistic minded background. And I love that now you have this element to this personal like journey that you're on, which is only gonna, increase your wisdom and confidence and your I love seeing you, just exponentially grow. We've been friends for over 10 years, something like
Minimum.
that. I don't
Yeah.
even know anymore,
Yeah.
but it feels like forever in the best way possible. It feels like we're just, star sisters. But um, I love seeing like how you've catapulted and you did it all by yourself and which is badass, which is why I love you so much. One of the many reasons. But I love seeing like how you've just taken this and you have had your vision and you never let anyone, you didn't even tell anyone. You're just like, bye,
Mhm.
and just
Well, I think that's
became a
such a
total badass
I
entrepreneur.
don't know about you, but I mean, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, when you tell people like, I'm gonna try singing, I'm gonna go for this, you get support, but with certain people, you only get enough support
Mm, you
to
get
be like,
the,
oh, that's gonna be a cool hobby. Like,
mm.
let's see how far.
Yeah,
The more people you tell about things, the more likely you're not only setting yourself up to not follow through, but people are going to subconsciously kind of, well, you're doing that to better yourself. I'm
project.
doing
Yeah.
that to better myself. So I'm hoping you do well, but if you don't do well, it's okay, because then I
It'll
don't
be
have to
better for me.
try. And it's not
Yeah.
an evil thing,
Yeah.
that's just human nature.
Mm.
But it comes with to knowing like, if you can stay quiet and you can produce the results, you can actually show, you can walk the walk, you can talk the talk, you can back it up. And that's something I love about you too. And we have so many friends and, all walks of life who have all sorts of different jobs, all sorts of different interests, but being able to be close with people who are like-minded and have that entrepreneurial spirit, it just strengthens our bond so much more. And it's so important to know, to everybody listening too, that you will have support systems that will help you, because sometimes
Yeah.
when you decide, I'm going to just try this, hopefully it's going to work, whether it's quitting alcohol or making a huge change or starting a business. People are going to support you, but you're going to find too quickly that, well, maybe people are a little jealous, or maybe they just don't understand, but you have us to
Yeah.
reach out to and to be like, no, you're on the right path. You're on the right path. When you start changing, and something you taught me so long ago, like, your vibrations will change with the new things you're doing, with what you're exposed to, and you're
Oh,
going to
yeah.
lose people. And that has been such a like constant reminder to me too, to be like, wow, I'm shocked, but like, it's okay, we're all changing into the next phase.
It is. And I love that you said like you'll attract new people, but it's got to be like it has to be people who have the same spirit that you do, like the go-getter attitude, because people who you choose to share your dreams with, they need to be people who are going to bolster you up.
Hmm.
And if you're from like small town like we are, that can be kind of hard to come by people who aren't like go-getters. And so you got to really keep your inner circle tight
A
and
thousand percent.
go
And
get other mentors. Like,
too.
every successful person, they have an elite team around them of
Hmm.
people that they trust, and that's their inner circle. Like, we vacation together. We're always there, even if we don't have time all the time, but when we do get together, it's super
Mhm.
quality, and like we support each other, and they're because we're in it too.
Yeah.
So there is no like bullshit like, well,
Right.
I'm projecting my secret hopes for your failure onto you because
Right.
I don't do
Mhm.
shit with my life. Like, no,
Yeah.
you got to have people who are getting it, and that's something about your the sober curious journey too. Like, surround yourself with
Mhm.
other people who are going to support you.
Yeah.
Like, same thing
Definitely.
like in a marriage, your bridal party are the people that are supposed, many people don't realize this or act like it. Your bridal party are supposed to be the people that will bring the couple back together when they
Right.
think about, when they're lost.
Hmm.
And so you need like the sober thing, or if that's your journey, or the business owner thing, if that's your journey, whatever your dream is, you need to find people who will be your core
Absolutely. And
safety net.
you might not even be surprised too who will come out of the woodwork to kind of support that.
Yeah.
Um, I still to this day get acquaintances and friends and families like, so are you looking for a job? I'm like, I have two.
Yeah.
I have two. I have
Yeah.
pull 80-hour work weeks.
Yeah.
And it's not just at a desk the whole time, but it's a multitude of things.
Yeah.
So it's getting the thick skin of not immediately wanting to put a spell on this person, but
Yeah.
to like get into the mindset of like we're just on two different wavelengths and it's okay.
You don't get it. I know.
You
There's
don't
still people who are like, "Oh, you play some guitar. That's so nice. Like, what else do you do?" And I'm like, "No, this is my job. I'm pretty good at
yeah,
it." But
yeah,
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 I don't worry about money. It's not
yeah,
a thing. Like,
yeah. I
not,
think
and
I've
you want to
learned
stay humble, but
I've learned too like this country's amazing and having the freedom to do this is great, but there are definitely other forces that want to keep you in the W-2. You go to work, you check
yeah.
in, you check out, you get your pay stub, you get 10 days of paid vacation, 3 days, 3 sick days. Like
Oh yeah.
this is what you do. So there's definitely a lot of like obstacles, but the reward is so worth it when you get to see results and you get to see what you're creating together. And don't hinder that with any other substance either. That
Yeah.
you already have a lot to do, pressure. As far as you and me, we're not really sure where our next gig is going to come from. So we got to hustle.
Put
I
yourself in
enjoy
alignment.
1,000%. And I enjoy at the end of the day earning the right to go to bed and earning that hour before bed to be like, you know what? I'm going to take this hour to watch my show or finally be on my phone that's not for work. It's so much more
Right.
rewarding, like earning your rest.
Badass. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jordan. You are a gem, and I'm so happy that we got this chance to connect. And I love that just talking about how busy we both are. And I love that it took us connecting through technically like work, my
Work,
job.
right?
And we're both still working. But that's another example of like when you get to that like next tier, like that's what your life looks like. But it's still the best. But like this work is our play too.
Mhm.
Like
Absolutely.
I love that we get to do this now, and this is so cool, and you have those friends. Like, you're blessed, we're blessed that we can grow together, always, see each other's transformations. Like that's a blessing, and that's what I would encourage everybody to look for. Like, if your friends aren't doing podcasts with you about your jobs and talking about spiritual transformation, you might need to get new friends. I don't know.
We'll be
You
your
know what I'm
friends.
saying? Yeah, we'll be
Come
your
hang out
friends.
with
Get on
us.
in here. Like, gives you all the hugs and the loves.
Well, I'm so
So,
proud of you for doing this. And I love that even if we can't always connect, we literally pick up where we left off and we have
mm,
1,000 things that we're adding to what we're already doing.
did.
For allowing me to come on. I love listening to your podcast and I can't wait to see what you're doing next on this podcast and off too.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited, and congratulations on, is it 8 months now?
Eight
Not
months tomorrow. 8 months
8 months.
tomorrow.
Oh, oh. All right. Right. You are awesome. I love you so much. I love everything you're doing. I'm so proud of you. You're glowing and radiant. And man, just I can't wait to have another update with you and see like where you're gonna take this. Awesome. All right, my love. We'll talk soon, and cheers and congrats on everything you're doing.
Thank you. You too. Love you.